guys. Welcome to this week's episode of TRUUU Podcast. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm your host, Drea.
Happy August, y'all.
Happy August.
How did we even get here, you guys? Like, for real.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We're more than halfway through this year. It feels like it was 2020, like last week.
I know.
That's wild.
It's too much. It's too much for me right now, but I feel like that, every month that passes by,
True.
I don't feel like it's unique to this month. But I think once we start getting to really like the true fall months, that's when I'm going to start tripping out like the most hardcore.
It's funny you say that because literally today I was sitting at my parents' house and I was like, you know what I can't wait for? And they're like, what? And I was like, Christmas. Once it starts getting cold, I'm going to be like, oh, thank God.
That sounds like you. But I'd also like to point out, because if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. But for you podcast listeners, you won't know this, that Drea right now on the second day of August is wearing a blanket around her shoulders. And I'm just like looking at this like, why?
Here's
why
the thing.
Happening?
Here's the thing. We have the AC on at my house and I record in our office, and our office is a very, very small room. It's like 90 square feet. And so the AC gets really cold in this room specifically. So the rest of the house feels nice, but in this room, it's like freezing. So hence the blanket. I don't enjoy the judgment.
Referencing actually something we were talking about right before we started recording, like when we were just on this Zoom call and we hadn't started recording yet. This is just that's where Aaron should sleep. In that office where it's nice and cool.
I need to put like a bed in here and be like, bye. Actually funny though, that wait, hold on. When you just said that right now, like referencing whatever. Oh, okay. I know what I was going to say. Because when you said that, I was like, there's something I need to say. And then now I remember. Okay. So yeah, Alex had said, if you're not watching on the YouTube and you're just listening on Spotify or wherever, Apple Podcasts, that's fine. But I'm going to say to you guys for this episode specifically, I highly recommend you go to the YouTube and watch, because there's some visuals that are to be added.
Okay. All right.
So that's my 2 cents for this episode.
I'm interested. All right. Well, that distraction aside, we're going to move into our normal thing of doing week updates. How was your week, Dre?
My week was pretty good. This was the first week that I've officially had like a little summer break, as I finished my classes. I do have one class left, but like, I don't count it. I finished my classes. I don't have work. This is before I start my student teaching. So it's been really nice just kind of like not doing too much. I also caught up with one of my friend's sisters who like I don't see very often, and like that was really fun because we did karaoke at her house. And like when I say karaoke, what I really mean by it is just we did renditions of different like musicals.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram story and I definitely chuckled at it.
It was really fun. We were having a grand old time. Aside from that, I haven't been doing much. I've just been watching a lot of the Olympics. I don't know if you've been following, but there has been some emotional journeys with the athletes that I think were very fun. On a whim, like yesterday on a whim, me and my mom were trying to decide like what should we rewatch and like the replays or whatever. And we were looking at track and field, and like we were literally about to watch like the women's like triple jump or something. And I was like, oh, there's like the men's finals for the high jump. Let's just throw that on. My ex-boyfriend used to do high jump. We could watch that. I know a little bit about it on a whim, right? And literally I had no idea that the men's high jump final was going to be like one of the like events of the Olympics that everyone is talking about. I don't know if you have followed it at all, Alex. I'm assuming no.
Well,
just knowing who you are.
Just knowing who I am. Jeez. Well, I mean, I know that some of the stuff that's been going on in the Olympics, like I've heard about like the whole Simone Biles thing. I know that whatever you're talking about, I think involves those like hugging guys on your Instagram story. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
I don't know anything that happened, but I know that something happened. Because yes, you're correct. I don't really watch the Olympics.
Right, which is absolutely insane. But that aside, I think you will appreciate at least this story, and then I'll be done with my week update because it is just so like beautiful. So basically, long story short, men's high jump. It's going great. We have 2 USA guys. There's like 2 Russian guys, a guy from Qatar who's like kind of like seated like number 1 or whatever. And it's just like a few guys from like other countries, like little countries like Belarus. There's like an Italian guy. There's a guy from Japan, and there's a guy from like South Korea, stuff like that, whatever.
Okay.
And so the Qatar guy, who is kind of at the top, he's like kind of seated like one. I don't know. I'm confused about that part because they kept on saying that he was like the top dog, but then they kept saying this guy from Russia named Ilya was the number one seed or whatever, or like the number one guy in the world. So like I was confused as really who was leader. But anyway, the guy from Qatar, he decides to omit the first jump, right? Like doesn't even do it. He's like, I'm just gonna go straight to the second jump, right? And I'm just like, okay, brother, like conceded, whatever. So all the other guys
have to do the first jump.
I guess like if you just like, okay, so this is something I learned yesterday because I don't really know a lot about high jump, but apparently there are some rules in it where like if you decide to not do a certain height, you can omit it and jump to the next height. So like, for example, and you have like 3 tries to complete a height. Like if you have 3 fails in a row, you're out. And that goes across heights. So let's say like you're trying a height, you jump it, you fail it, and other guys have made the height already, and you already know that they're going to move on to the next height. You can say, I'm not going to do this height anymore. I'll just jump to the next height and give myself 2 chances at the next height to get it.
Sure.
Because you have 3 fails in a row to be disqualified.
Right.
Okay, so that's like an interesting little tidbit about the sport. So he omits the first height. The guy from Belarus, like literally like doesn't even make the first attempt. He has to take like multiple attempts to get the first height. The other guys are doing fine, whatever, nothing really important. They move on. The Qatar guy goes next. He's like flying over the freaking thing. Everyone else is doing it. Fine, nothing's happening. The first to go out is the Japanese guy. Like, it was sad because, you know, like Japan's holding the Olympics and like this guy's not even, he was out of his league. He's out. Next, the USA guy who the whole time I was like, this guy's pretty good. He's going to go far. He's literally the second one out. I'm like, what? And then there's another USA guy named Jovan, and he like from the beginning, me and Mama are like, what's the deal with this guy? Like he looked very like I would have bet money, Alex, if this guy was wearing makeup, like eye makeup. Like I was just like, he's straight up wearing makeup. He's very effeminate. Like his eyes were like black and everything. And then they zoom into his face and I was like, he's not wearing makeup. Like that's just his eyes. And like he just had a very interesting look, like extremely interesting. He had a very interesting form too. Long story short, he gets knocked out. The more crazy thing though is that the number 1 seed guy, Ilya, he also gets knocked out early. And I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. And then there's also this guy from New Zealand who I swear to God, picture in your head, Alex, picture in your head. Shawn Mendes and John Travolta had a baby.
That's weird.
I'm going to show you a picture of this guy later. Tell me that it's not exactly what he looks like. Okay, he gets kicked out, whatever. The games keep going. And so fast forward to the end, people are omitting heights. The guy from Qatar, who was like the top dog the whole time, he's like flying over the heights, just flying over it. And then the guy from Italy, who apparently like Italy has never medaled in like a lot of like different Olympic events, especially in track and field before. So like everyone's like kind of like knocking him out, like, okay, he's not that big a deal. Also in the last Olympics, he like couldn't go because he like injured himself. And so like he lost a chance to go to the last Olympics. But he's like going over all the heights on the first try. So he's literally matched the same jumps as the Qatar guy. Because I guess at the end, like if you guys reach the same height, the way that they determine the winner is you go to see how many tries it took the person to get each height. So like if you have multiple tries versus another person doesn't have any multiple tries, the person with no tries wins, whatever. Yeah. So they have literally reached the world record height or whatever, or the Olympic record height. And neither of them have missed a single try. And shockingly, the only other person who has also made it to this point is the Belarus guy who had a hard time going over the very first height. And so at the end of the day, it's obvious Belarus is going to get third. He's medaled. He's made it to this height no one else has. He's getting third at the minimum. So it's between the Italian and the Qatar guy. And so they have 3 attempts to meet the Olympic height. They both go. Neither of them make any of the 3 attempts. So then what happens is that you go into a jump off. And so they're supposed to do a jump off to see like who can like, you know, neck to neck, whatever jump. I don't even know how the jump off works, but that's like the next step. But then the official, I guess, was just like, okay, so we're going to do the jump off, at which point the Qatar guy and the Italian guy were just like, can we just both share the gold? And they're like, yeah, you guys can share the gold. So then they decided this is the first time since 1912 that they would share the gold together.
Oh, it's cute.
It was so cute. And the Italian guy, because like, I don't think Italy's like ever won in the high jump, and he was like sobbing, and he had this like cast from the last Olympics that like he wore, you know, that where he couldn't go, and he was like crying. He had his little cast, and then like shortly after he won, the 100 meters was being run, the finals for the 100 meters men. And the Italian guy who nobody was talking about, like Italy's never won that either. Like he wasn't even mentioned. Everyone was just like, you got to look out for the Canadian, you got to look out for the USA, whatever. And the Italian guy freaking wins the race. So then Gianmarco, the guy who won for the high jump, runs across and he hugs him. And the two Italian guys are like embracing and they're like smiling and crying. And it was just so beautiful. Like it was the most, like I was like out of my mind. Like this is so like, oh, so touching.
See, like, you know, I'm not very into like competitive things or whatever, which is probably why the Olympics isn't up my alley. But I do like those really heartwarming moments like that, like, you know, the Qatar guy and the Italian guy deciding, hey, we'll just share it.
Yeah, it's just like humanity, like, you know, like
beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. I could understand a lot, well, not understand necessarily, but I'm sure that there's a lot of really competitive people out there that was just like, no, like you gotta duke it out, like you can't share it, that's nonsense. But I'm here for it.
I thought it was so sweet because it's just like,
I think global cooperation is beautiful.
Absolutely. And that's what they were talking about. Like that was like the top of the Olympics right now, because they're just like, this is such a perfect example of like Olympic unity and like bringing the countries together. And it was the first time that this has happened since like 1912. And it's just like, wow, how like what a great moment to witness.
Yeah, I like moments like that where lines that divide people just don't.
Yeah.
You know? That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, so that's my little story. Go on to your week, Alex.
I have nothing that poetic or beautiful in my week update, so I guess there's that. Let's see, what did I do? Saw Jungle Cruise. I like that a lot. It was good.
Really?
Definitely,
okay.
Definitely worth a watch. So if you end up renting that on Disney Plus, hit me up, dude. I'll see it again.
Okay. Oh, sorry, to like add to it also though, I also watched Black Widow. And so if you want to watch it, you can come watch it. But it was really good. I liked it.
I've seen it twice already. But...
Oh, have you? Okay, well then go on.
Yeah, Black Widow it was a good film. But yeah, so I really enjoyed Jungle Cruise. I think mostly like when my dad was like, okay, what movie do you want to watch this weekend? It was between Jungle Cruise and Snake Eyes, which is a G.I. Joe origin story movie for one of the characters in the G.I. Joe franchise.
Never heard of it, but cool.
Yeah, it's an action movie, and that's where it gets its appeal for me and my dad. But
got it.
I'm just kind of like, I want to watch something that I feel like is gonna make me like laugh and like feel good. So I think that Jungle Cruise is the good choice here, and I was correct.
I agree.
And it's not like, I think that the story felt fresh too. Like it didn't feel like something like super like, oh, I know exactly how this is gonna end or whatever. Like you do kind of once you get past the plot twist. But I didn't necessarily like, it took me up until the plot twist basically happened for me to like guess a little bit beforehand what the plot twist was. Okay. So it wasn't like from 100 miles away that you know what it is.
Interesting. Okay.
So I like that. So yeah, that was a good movie. So watch that. Back in office full time now, which is nice.
That is nice. That's
really I feel exciting. Like there was I was telling it was really funny because like I was walking up from the parking lot where my office parks up to where my office is. And the thing is like, I might have described this to you before, but like I work in what was a converted house. So like not a traditional office building, but a house. And one of my like coworkers, like inside of her office, like she has like the door that's on the inside, but she also has like a door and a screen door, like that lead out the side of the house. So she had her door open. So, but I didn't see it because of the screen door. So like, I'm just walking along and she tries to scare me through the screen door by like, you know, yelling at me or whatever. And then like my other coworker is like walking up and makes a joke over by the front door. I'm just kind of like, this is the camaraderie that I missed.
That's
just
cute.
All y'all being silly together. Like the office has better energy when we're all here. So like that's exciting. training, a new person is exciting. Gotta love that. Called the bank that did my auto loan because I still didn't get my title in the mail.
Oh my God.
I know,
Forever.
right? It's never gonna end, Dre. It really is never gonna end. I'm gonna
Insane.
have to sell the car and never get my title. But anyway, which I know, yes, is impossible to sell your car without the title. Don't at me. I understand. So called them and I was okay, hey, how long should this really be taking? Who do I need to contact here to get this resolved? They're like, oh, that's weird. Do you ever receive the release of lien from us? It's like, no.
I haven't received anything.
Right, exactly. And she's like, oh, that's weird. So I'll just resend that to you, and then I'll just resend the release of lien to the DMV as well. Maybe it just didn't go through the first time. My mom has suspicions that they just never did it in the first place. Yeah. So we'll see here in the coming weeks whether or not that actually ends up resolving itself. What else? Oh, so making my way through Brooklyn Nine-Nine, obviously. And I finally got to the cold open you were telling me about with the red hat.
Yeah.
That one was funny. And then I also, because I've been waiting for this entire time, because before I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think maybe because you were yelling at me about it all the time, but my phone, probably listening to our conversations, was bringing up Brooklyn Nine-Nine stuff on my Instagram Discover page.
Okay.
And I saw a cold open there, before I started the show, of when Jake has those guys in the lineup singing I Want It That Way.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got to that cold open.
That one's so funny.
I know. I love that one so much. I'm just when I finally got there, I'm just yes, this is what I've been waiting for this entire time, was this cold open.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Love it. I think
there's also the one where you meet Nasim Pedrad, Jake's sister.
Oh, yeah. What's her name?
In the thing, I think Katie.
No, I mean her real name, Nasim
Pedrad. Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yeah. So that's been good. Although I have to admit, just because I think I needed just some time, I needed a little bit of a break, I did take a couple days off and I was watching Stranger Things.
Ooh, love that for you.
Well,
Have you seen Stranger Things?
Yeah, I'd seen it before, but I was rewatching just because you know what sounds good right now?
Stranger
Things. And I'll tell you what, because I started it over again. I'm just kind of they really did Barb dirty.
I totally agree with that. I mean, that's the general consensus all the time, no?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that from when the show first came out and everyone wouldn't shut up about Barb and where's Barb and blah, blah, blah. I'm just man.
You right. Yeah.
I knew this when this happened, but at the same time, this sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so took a little bit of break, but started back up on it today, which I'm not really that nervous about catching up in time because I still have time. It's only, a 30-minute show. Mm-hmm. So it'll be easy to knock out, I think, in the time that I have left, especially considering that I'm almost done with season 5 and season 6 and 7 aren't full seasons anyway. So
yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
But yeah. And one last thing that I'll say, which kind of relates into your week update a little bit, is how you're saying you're finally getting a summer break, for the first time, even though it's only basically a week or so that you'll have.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of I remember before you got out of school, out of, your job school, and you were just yeah, I'll be playing the Switch over the summer.
I know.
And then I'll start playing Animal Crossing. I'll get there. I'm waiting for you to play Animal Crossing. I'm just it's never going to happen because now you're going to be student teaching.
I know.
And that's going to make you, plenty busy. And I'm sure you'll have your coaching stuff too.
I'm really trying. It's not because I don't want to. It's just my life, man. This year has just been challenging.
I realize that. I know it's not your fault. I don't blame you for it, but at the same time, my heart is broken.
I know. I will do it. Here's the thing. I will do it. It's just a matter of when.
Because yesterday, I was playing Animal Crossing, which I had taken actually a 2-week break from it. So that's kind of interesting. And I missed an event that I didn't want to miss, so that was a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to time travel and cheat my way to getting that event, so I'm just going to wait until next year.
Jesus, isn't that a statement? Wait until
right?
next year.
Well, hopefully we'll play it together next year.
Insane.
Anyway, but yesterday I was playing and I was trying to, like right now, I'm working on trying to catch the most elusive bug in the game.
Okay.
Like it's the rarest spawn.
Okay.
And because everything, like all the bugs, all the fish, all the sea creatures, they spawn seasonally. So they have like assigned months and assigned times during the day that they spawn. And even to a certain extent, like specific spawn locations. So like the bug that I'm looking for, it only spawns on coconut trees.
Interesting. Okay.
During the hours of 5 p.m. Well, from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. But the best times to try to catch it are 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. because of other, like the corresponding other bug spawns. But anyway, so I was like riding 10% yesterday on my Switch, hanging out with Michael while he was studying, like playing, trying to find this bug. And I think that I see it on a tree. And the thing is, like with some of the bugs that are more like elusive, like you have to like sidle up to them basically in order to catch it, because or else they'll like fly away. And I was short. I didn't reach the tree, so the bug flew away.
Oh no!
For an entire month I've been looking for this bug. It's only available in July and August, so I only have this month left to catch it, or else I have to wait until next summer.
That sucks, dude.
I was kind of like, man, I hate myself so much right now letting that bug get away. But anyway, that's my week update. We probably took too long in this, but
I know.
As we usually do.
As we always do. Okay. Well, thank you for listening to our weeks. Let's get into the meat of this episode. And per our season 3 theme, I'm going to be enlightening Alex on a topic of my choice. And so the topic that I have decided to do this week, Alex, is the most dangerous places on Earth.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a fun little surprise for you. I actually made a slideshow to help illustrate my choices. So here we go. Here's our slideshow. If you're watching on the YouTube, enjoy. Okay. So the first place I want to talk to you about is Death Road. And so this is actually called the North Youngest Road, and it's located in Bolivia in South America, obviously. And so here we have 2 pictures. Alex, I don't know if you want to describe them a little bit.
Okay, so what we got going on here is really a nightmare, like, hellscape. So what this is it's a side of a mountain, like a very beautiful side of a mountain. So like lush green, all this whatever. And the teeny tiniest road that's like along the cliff's edge, right?
Yeah, so it is.
It looks here like only like you can't, it looks almost impossible to pass. Like, so if you meet on the road, like I don't even know what's supposed to happen. Like I see like there's a couple pictures here in the far like right picture there. I see like 2 kind of longish trucks like trying to pass each other. And I wonder if like around some of the curves, there's just like a little bit like wider parts, but I think it'd be pretty tough to pass another car on this whole thing. Yeah, I would want to drive on this road, period, because it looks like you'll just fall off.
Absolutely. And you are right. So this is 43 miles long with nonstop switchbacks, and the road is seldom wider than 10 feet. And another reason that this is just really dangerous is that the landscape consists of like dense fog. It's prone to landslides. There's multiple waterfalls and cliff falls up to 2,000 feet. And so
okay,
sorry. I'm going to give you my spiel and then I'll take comments.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. Okay, up until 1999, there was like tons and tons of deaths. And in 1999 specifically, there was almost 300 drivers that were killed. And so this road connects the city of, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but the city of Coroico to the capital city of La Paz. And so the issue with that is that it like really like I don't know, encourages like merchants and traders to ride their trucks or buses into the city to try to sell their goods. However, as we see in these pictures here, like there really isn't enough room for two directional driving, especially like in trucks or buses. So oftentimes the trucks and their drivers fell to their deaths. The road was developed during the Chaco War, and up until 2006, this was the only option for traveling from that city to La Paz. And in 2009, the government finally created a new road, which is obviously not on the side of the mountain like this, that is a little bit safer. Today, most deaths are still from the local workers and backpackers who still try to use this road. And then there are some tour operators that lead bikers along the road. For what reason? I don't know. But there has been more than a dozen cyclists who has lost their lives due to this. Go ahead.
Is this the time? Okay. I'm
Yes.
just like, is this the time for comments? I'm really glad that you ended up saying, though, because my question was going to be, is there another way to get from city to city other than this whole road? Because I feel like there has to be.
Well, now there
It's
is.
just dumb. I was like, in this day and age, this is just dumb.
Well, it's
this be the only road.
It's amazing that it actually took until 2009 for the new road to be open. Like, that's recent.
I mean, I guess, I don't know what the economic situation is in Bolivia, so maybe it would have been too expensive of a project. I don't know. But I'm just like, there's no way you can get me on that. But I guess, if you really need to sell your wares, you're going to do what you got to do, I guess. But my whole thing is like, if you're not even willing to like get another road available, here's what I'd say, right? Is like, develop a schedule where, you can go one way during these hours and then go another way during the other hours, right?
Right.
I feel like that would make some sense here. I mean, I wouldn't be a fan of this particular mode of travel either. Mostly, you said like the fog is a big issue, landslides are a big issue. I feel like this is a bad idea. I would never do it. I don't like the look of it.
It's not great.
It's not good. It's not good.
All right, well, that's the first one. The second one is my personal favorite, and I think it's going to give a lot of people the heebie-jeebies. So if you have particular aversions to snakes, maybe pass this section. All right. The next one is called Snake Island, and it is in Brazil, off the coast of Brazil, rather.
So pictured here, if you're, just on the podcast and really don't feel like scooting over to YouTube, which, we're not going to be offended if you scoot over to YouTube, would be a good thing. If you're not, though, we have pictured here on one side, a nice looking island, it's an island. There you go. Doesn't look huge or anything, but it's an island. And on the right side, we have pictured the grossest thing I've ever seen, which is probably a bush or a tree of some kind, like a branch or something. Probably with something like, I don't know, 100 snakes just in it.
Yeah, it's like a nest of snakes. Like imagine a bird's nest of twigs, but the twigs are snakes. And that's pretty much what the picture is.
Like as a sidebar here, like, speaking of snakes and how I hate them, two stories. I actually discovered recently that one of Michael's roommates owns a snake.
Oh, good.
And I just had no idea that it was in the house.
Imagine it got loose one time that you're there.
Because, like, you remember how I told you in the whole, like, grill blowing up story?
Yes.
About that sunroom?
Yeah.
It's in the sunroom. I had been just walking past it without knowing that it's there.
Good.
So then he showed it to me, and he's just like, oh, you want to hold it? I'm just like, most certainly not.
No. I really don't.
I never want to hold it. It's disgusting. Get it away from me. But anyway, so I was scrolling on Instagram this morning, like trying to wake up and whatever, and like I followed the dodo because it has a lot of cute stuff about like animals and whatever.
Yeah.
And there's one about a girl and like a pet like boa constrictor or something ridiculous like that.
Okay.
This boa thing likes to cuddle with this girl. I'm just like, I don't know about that. I think that, or maybe it's like a python or something, but it's some huge snake that freaks me out. And I'm just kind of like, I do not want to cuddle with snake.
No. That girl, it's a deadliest, what is it? Fatal attraction situation, whatever it's called. Like, it's going to end poorly for you.
So anyway, continue.
Anyway, okay. So Snake Island is actually technically called something different. I'm going to do my best to say it, but it's in Portuguese. So bear with me. It is called Ilha da Quimada Grande. And so I think it actually translates to like burning island.
Yeah.
And it is 25 miles off the coast of Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few rumors that have happened with this island. One of them is that a fisherman who was straying too close to the shores was found later, who like actually like got to the shore, went off to like get bananas or something that he found there, and then like obviously like encountered snakes, tried to run back to his boat, and then later he was found floating in his boat like completely lifeless in blood. There's another rumor, which supposedly this one's a real story in like all the accounts that I've read, but I'm like, I don't know. But back in the early 1900s, there was a man who actually lived here with his family, and he lived there to work the lighthouse on the island. And apparently the snakes eventually got into their home through the windows, and no one survived. Like the whole family was just obliterated. And hold your comments. And so the Brazilian government has actually made it illegal for anyone to visit this island. The biggest threat is, as the name would provide, the golden lancehead snake. And it's a pit viper, which is one of the world's most deadliest serpents. And basically, if they bite you, you have kind of like 1 hour to get treatment to survive. But being that this is like 25 miles off the coast, it's pretty much impossible to get help on time unless a doctor is like literally there with you. And the venom can melt skin. So it's kind of like a nightmarish situation. So as I mentioned before, the island is infested with thousands and thousands of snakes. It's estimated by the Smithsonian that there's probably anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 snakes on this island. Not only are the golden lanceheads on this island, but it's also home to another species called the Dipsus albifrons. I don't know how to say that, but the more like common name for that is a savage snail eater. They're non-venomous, but add to the creepiness of like the amount of snakes that are on this island. Legend has it that the snakes got there due to pirates who placed them there as like protection to, you know, keep people away from like the treasure that they buried, which is like hilarious because like, okay, well, how do you plan to get your treasure back? That's just like a legend. But the population of the snakes is so large that you pretty much see a snake every 1 square meter, which basically means that if you take a step, you're going to see another snake. Go on.
So I feel like if any military entity like really feels the need to test a new bomb or something, this is the place to do it. Let's just drop a bunch of bombs, just drop a nuke on that, you know, get rid of it. We don't need this.
Here's the thing though. Here's the thing is that these snakes, although they are like massively overrunning this island, are actually like very endangered. And another thing is, and I didn't add this to my notes, but I remember reading it, which kind of adds to your whole situation. There's a lot of issue right now with like, what's the word, like smugglers or people like going to the island trying to capture the snakes and then like selling them for like thousands of dollars because of like the high risk it takes to like get them, how endangered they are. Poachers, that's the right word. Yeah, and so they're actually like selling these snakes, which is a problem because if this keeps happening, it's like obvious that this type of snake is like known to like reproduce and like overrun an area. So like it could get out to another place and like become an issue.
So I realize this comment is dramatic, but this is essentially like the plot of Jurassic Park.
But with snakes.
Yes.
That's funny.
So do not bring the snakes back to the mainland. Learn from any of the Jurassic Park movies where you bring stuff back, which is coincidentally Jurassic Park 2 and then Jurassic World 2.
Yeah.
So let's learn from their mistakes and go ahead and not do that. And I wonder if like, I really wonder if some of these snakes swim because some snakes can swim, you know?
They can't swim. I looked that up also.
Well, that's good because just keep them there. Just gather all the snakes of the world and just dump them there.
All right, well, that's the second one. That's my personal favorite. The rest from here, I'm like, but this is my favorite.
That's so
okay. The next one is called Lake Netrone. This is located in North Tanzania, which is like on the East African side of the continent. So this lake, go ahead, Alex, explain the pictures a little bit.
Okay, well, we got some really weird looking stuff here. So on the left, we have a black and white picture of, you know, the island, the lake in the foreground, but also like you'd expect to see on some water, like some really nice birds or whatever. It looks like a dead bird of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking maybe like a flamingo, to be honest.
Okay, that'd be a great
Kind of
guess.
folded in on itself, like
Mm-hmm.
imagine because of the legs sticking out the back. I feel like that might be a flamingo, but it's basically a skeleton, it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's disturbing. And then on the right, we have a color picture, which kind of looks like almost like a lake of blood almost.
Yeah, it's a creepy reddish situation.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but continue on.
Not a fan. Okay, so this lake is actually a problem because it has high levels of Netrone, which is a sodium carbonate dehydrate. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say these words, but basically the like minerals that are in this water makes the water like really, really corrosive, especially to human skin and eyes. Sometimes the pH of this water has been up to the level 12, which anyone who knows anything, that's like not okay. Water's pH is 7, and then going up is more basic and going down is more acidic, and so 12 is like really, really up there. With like lye, like I think lye is at the high end of basics, like the basic spectrum, and like lye is like really corrosive too.
By
So
the way, you can
avoid
use
it.
lye to dissolve a body if you watch any like
Breaking Bad.
any true crime shows or whatever.
Yeah.
You can know that.
Fun fact. Okay, so the water also contains red colored bacteria, which gives it a unique pink hue. However, it also has cyanobacteria. I don't know how to say these words. I'm sorry. That live in the lake. Cyano. Which cyano?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cyano. That live in the lake and also give it a red orange hue. So it's just all in all kind of looks like blood, kind of like what Alex is saying. The lake has also been what's the word? Like registered. I don't know. Like it's been like the temperature of the lake has registered up to like 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. And it's home, and this is the fun fact. It's actually home to 2.5 million flamingos, and it serves as a breeding ground. Somehow the flamingos like thrive. Well, the flamingos actually thrive here. And the picture on the left, you're probably right. It is a flamingo. The person who took it like specifically said that they like got a carcass and like placed it in the water to make it look more like eerie, but it also kind of like, works with the whole feel.
Okay, because I'm just kind of like, I mean, I'm glad that you added that last part in because, after you said the whole part about it being a thriving, breeding ground for flamingos, I didn't understand why I'm looking at a basically dissolved looking flamingo in that water. But okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, that's strange. Fun fact, I know it's cyanobacteria because my brother used to chant that for whatever reason when he was like in middle school or high school, like because he took a lot of science classes, my older brother did.
That's random.
We had things, we all have things when we're kids that we do, and
that was his.
I like to be silly,
That's hilarious. I love
that. I told you about the song that my brother made up for the seatbelt strap in my mom's.
Yes.
So it's like that. It's like
he was destined to be a singer.
Anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, that's strange. Don't love that either.
This one for me is it's not so like unsettling. It's more just like, that's odd.
It is. I mean, I wonder how flamingos do so well, and then I wonder if their extremely long legs help them out, and like if their bodies would not react well to it.
I'm not sure. But anyway, all right, so that's the third one. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, once again, going to butcher this word. Oymyakon?
Yeah.
Oymyakon. It's a small village in Russia, and it is home to extreme climatic conditions. Severe temperatures make it impossible to sustain life. It drops as low as negative 90 degrees Fahrenheit. There's no vegetables. Nothing can be grown here. There's a lack of food. However, 500 people have been able to settle down in this place. Why? Great question. There's no answer.
Feed themselves, apparently.
To add to the inhospitality, whatever that word is, everything freezes. So that means pipes freeze,
Yeah.
Which means there is no running plumbing for bathrooms. Everything is plumbingless outhouses.
Gross.
Fun, right? And on top of that, like engines freeze like so quickly that people who live here literally keep their cars running at all times. Insane. And then last point on this one, this is a short one. During the shortest day of the year, every night is 21 hours long.
The night is 21 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, that definitely happens. Like, the movie 30 Days of Night.
Yep.
That's, just the reality for some places of the world, which, Russia's kind of in the same, global area as Alaska as well. So, like, that makes sense because, the movie I just mentioned was in Alaska. So I can see that part that actually, checks out pretty well to me. So to describe these pictures a little bit, it is exactly how you would imagine a frozen tundra, basically just all white, man. Like, one picture is an aerial view of the town, and like you could see some structures. There's not a ton, but it's just basically all snow, not any kind of trees or anything there to speak of. And then we have another picture of a very dilapidated looking building and what I can imagine is an elderly person walking by it. I don't know what would draw anyone to live in this frozen tundra. I don't completely understand that. It's actually kind of funny, like how you're saying, like how things like kind of instantly freeze up there and whatever. It's kind of like, have you seen the movie Day After Tomorrow?
I haven't. No. Oh, wait. Is that the end of the world movie?
No.
Oh, then no.
I mean, not in the way that I think that you're thinking.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
So Day After Tomorrow is a movie kind of about climate change, actually.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, like, severe, like, inclement, like, weather sort of happens in this movie, like, because of, all the nonsense, I guess, that people are doing in the world and stuff. So, like, there's, like, this big, like, freeze that happens, and, like, New York freezes over. Like, it gets so cold that, like, as, like, the ice and, like, the cold creeps up, like, it instantly freezes people.
Oh, good.
So, like, like you were saying all that stuff about things instantly freezing, whatever, and just, like, this is what I'm picturing in my mind is Day After Tomorrow. And it actually is a movie with Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal. So I would recommend the movie. It's a little stressful, but it's a good movie, and it's
based off of this city.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way a little bit. And it's really funny because, like, apparently getting down south as far as Mexico is, like, a safe place in that movie to be, like, that's not frozen over.
I love it.
Which is funny. But, yeah, so this town looks like it'd be zero fun.
Zero fun. Agreed.
I imagine that they'll have to, like, have, plentiful, like, a huge well of, like, fossil fuels to, like, power all these cars if they're, like, gonna have them running 24/7.
Yeah, it has to be something. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Anyway. All right. The next one, we're no stranger to Death Valley, California.
All right. Yeah.
So, I mean, come on. A majority of our listeners are from California, so you know what we're talking about. But for those of you who don't, Alex, describe these pictures.
I feel like I don't even really need to describe these pictures because just imagine a desert, and that's what you're looking at here. You're just looking at some crusty dirt. And that's it.
Crusty dirt.
Because like the one on the left is like, it looks like it would be a flat plane, but like probably once had water, like so it's like craggly.
Yeah.
It's dirt, man. It's
absolutely. So Death Valley is located on the border of California and Nevada, and it's one of the most hottest places across the world. I think it's only matched by like a few deserts in the Middle East, but aside from that, it is one of the hottest places in the whole world. Across all like averages, July of 2018 was the hottest average temperature for the whole month, with every day averaging a temperature, and this is including temperatures at night, of 108.1 degrees Fahrenheit, and the
Mm-mm.
daily highs were 127 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh gosh.
However, the hottest, and I thought this was wrong because I remember last year hearing about how Death Valley like broke a record for like the hottest temperature recorded. But when I looked into it, last year, I think they reached a temperature of like 129. However,
Blech.
in July of 1913, Guinness World Records has like the recorded temperature of 134 degrees Fahrenheit.
How did anyone survive out there long enough to take that temperature?
They didn't. I don't know.
They just
Okay.
use a sensor or something, or what? That's it.
I
No
don't know.
thanks.
So the mountains reach 3,000 meters into the sky, which I'm sorry I didn't get the conversion to feet because here in America, we don't do the metric system. But 3,000 meters into the sky, if there were water, it would reach 86 meters below the level of the ocean. And there contains a lot of evidence of several ancient volcanoes that cause huge explosions in this area. There's rock formations that show how the ground has been pushed up violently by movements down deep in the earth. Other areas show lines on rocks that show that this area was deep underwater for many years, as Alex described in the picture to the left. It's one of the driest places in the US currently. The name was actually, and here's a fun fact of how the name was given to this area, but it was given back in the gold rush days when a group of workers were trying to travel west during December, the month of December. So they didn't actually have to endure the heat, but they endured the severe cold. And so while they were moving through this area, there was no water, there was hardly any sort of vegetation for their animals to eat, and they couldn't like find a way over the tall mountains. So they were all like succumbing to starvation, the temperature, da 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 da. So they ended up killing their animals for food and began their walk, all the way out the valley, to which when they finally were like reaching, the going over the top mountain or whatever, a woman in the group looked back and said, "Goodbye, Death Valley." And since then, the name has like forever stuck.
Hey, well, that's a snappy story. I mean, yeah, deserts are definitely a double-edged sword that way. They get cold. They get cold.
Not good. But yeah, I mean, not too many things to say about this. I mean, me and Alex, we live in California. If you've gone to Nevada, you've driven kind of through Death Valley at some point. It's not like Snake Island, in my opinion, where I'm like horrified by it, but I wouldn't want to live there for sure.
Like, you if you're around California, you've seen some desert and it's like, well, there it is.
Yeah.
Don't want to spend much time here and just let's get out.
'Tis what it is.
I will say though, because you were talking about like comparing like you were saying about how you can tell like some of the surrounding like mountains and stuff, like there was some pretty big seismic shifts and like all these like different things, and just like making me think like how dangerous like fault lines and like whatever can be. And like for whatever reason it made me think when I was in Oregon, because I'm not sure I told you this, but like out on the coastline of Oregon there was quite a few signs about like what to do in case of a tsunami warning.
Oh god.
Weird, right? Yeah. I thought on that, I'm just kind of like there's tsunami warning stuff out here, like where we were in Newport. It like there were signs telling you where the designated like evacuation zone was for tsunamis, right?
Oh shoot. Okay.
And I'm just kind of like, tsunamis?
What? You're like, what?
And I was commenting on that, and my friend Sarah's like, yeah, like there's stuff like that all along the coast. It's just down south that doesn't take the tsunami warning seriously.
Oh.
So like we're at risk for tsunamis, I guess.
I
like, mean, I don't think this far inland that you and I are.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I don't think we are.
That's exactly what I said to her. I'm just like, well, I feel like the Inland Empire is like inland enough where
it's literally called the Inland Empire. Like
we're not gonna get wiped out by tsunami, because like tsunamis, like out of natural disasters, is probably the one that scares me the most, which isn't as surprising considering that how afraid I am of like
of
ocean.
water and whatever. Yeah, that's true. I guess
Like, I'm not afraid of water per se, but like deeper ocean, I'm not about it.
sure.
So like there is a picture book that picture book. It's like a scientific like book for like kids and whatever that we had like growing up. And it's one of those where like it's like telling you about different things in the ocean and whatever, but it's not like a lighthearted like science book. It's
Okay.
like straight facts. So like there's a
Okay.
section in it about tsunamis. And like the way that it was drawn and stuff like freaked me out so much that my entire life I've been freaked out of the thought of tsunamis.
There's okay, Alex, remind me afterwards. I have to send you a podcast that Dak Shepard did. Did I tell you about this?
I don't know.
The one with him and Jimmy Kimmel, and how Jimmy Kimmel also has like fear of tsunamis, and they were like talking about the time he got stuck in a tsunami.
What?
It's so funny though, Alex. Like, I need to send it to you. It is like hilarious.
Oh man. Anyway,
Okay, anyways,
yeah,
that's for after the
the
podcast.
whole thing just reminded me of tsunamis. Sorry, but anyway, you can
Fabulous.
continue on in your presentation.
Okay, sorry. That was a good aside. All right, let's move to the next one. And I'll kind of try to go a little bit faster. We have 3 more, but we're taking a little while here, so I'll go faster.
Ooh,
This one is called the Skeleton Coast. It is in Angola, which is
okay.
I'm assuming, I think that's Africa. I didn't do my research, but I'm pretty sure Angola is in Africa. I hope I'm right about that.
You know what's kind of interesting about you saying that is like, okay, so why, and I'm not trying to like take this away from you, but why it seems to be called Skeleton Coast is
Uh-huh.
because of the remains of boats.
Okay.
It seems to be washed up. I mean, that's the pictures at least. So
Mhm.
for those who are still only sticking to the podcast version, I'm looking at pictures of boats that have washed up in the sand. Well, that are in the sand all dried out and like decaying and stuff, but it's
Mhm.
relatively close to the coast.
Mhm.
But actually there's a movie called Sahara that has
Okay.
Matthew McConaughey. This is another movie plug in here. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey, where it's like something like this, and it is in Africa, so that might actually hold some water there. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, maybe they did it off of this.
Okay.
Okay, so it's south of Angola to the north of Namibia, and it's really the issue here is the harsh climate. So there's like weather issues, there's hot winds, there's lack of food, lack of water. And it's filled the shore is usually filled with numerous animal bones that can
Eek.
range from like whales, elephants, turtles, seals, and like more. However,
Eek.
it is also home to many a shipwreck and
Right.
even some aircraft wrecks. And so as a result, human skeletons are often found in this area too, being that, like they wreck, the humans get off, they're trying to survive the climate, and they're donezo. So apart from the natural conditions, another like really big issue that this area falls trivial to is a huge amount of gang violence and robbery, as if the climate were not bad enough. However, there is a group of people who live here. They're called the Himbas. And to survive the harsh sun conditions, they use a butter mix that gives their skin like a reddish hue and protects them against like the sunburn. There's also wild animals who have learned to survive in this land. And let me list you off a few of the animals that live here: black-backed jackals, hyenas, lions, and rhinos. So if
Okay.
the weather and if the robbers were not enough, you have jackals.
You know, if I wasn't, convinced at the beginning that this is in Africa, I'm the most convinced I've ever been. This is in Africa.
Yeah.
This is just in Africa. I'm just gonna throw this out there.
Definitely.
So is it my time for comments
Go
now?
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I'm really curious because like to me actually like the boats, the planes, all that whatever, like that actually like isn't as surprising to me. Like that stuff can happen and whatever. Like maybe the boats is like, high tides or whatever, like getting stuck that way.
Uh-huh.
But I'm wondering why so many sea life carcasses that are washing up on shore. Like, what is causing that to happen? Like, is this just like a cursed area or something that just all these different kinds of bones are getting piled on the shore? Like, what is that all about?
That's a good question, and I don't have an answer. I just know that it's home to a lot of like skeleton carcasses, and I'm not sure why. So I don't know. I don't want to visit it though.
No, it sounds like it'd be a huge bummer.
Absolutely. Any other comments?
No, that's just me.
You're like, no. Okay, second to last. The
Ooh.
gates of hell.
And Turkmenistan.
Okay, this is in Turkmenistan, which what the hell is Turkmenistan? Great question. I had to look it up. It's in Asia. So this is a gas crater that is
perfect.
It's filled with natural gas fields in an underground cave. And so geologists, because they were trying to prevent methane gas from spreading, decided to set it on fire back in 1971.
And it's been burning this entire time?
And it has been burning this entire time. So, fun
They really did create the gates of hell, because like looking at it, like if you were to imagine what, you know, if hell were to open up, like, you know, so randomly, like on Earth or in here, like in the middle of the desert or something, that's what it looked like. Exactly what you imagine. That's it.
Yeah, it's literally
it's like a lake of fire almost.
Whatever it is you're picturing, that's what it is. It's located in the middle of the Karakum Desert, one of the most extensive gas reserves, and the crater contains explosions, boiling mud, and orange flames.
So like I'm imagining, you know, it's the 70s or whatever, and like there's all this like drugs and LSD flying around. They're just like, you know, it's a good idea. Let's set this on fire.
A freaking gate to hell. Radical.
It's like one of those like parts in a movie where like the hero like flicks a lit cigarette, like a lit match or like a lighter, and just like it flicks it into like, you know, the gas area, like whenever like someone like blows up their house or whatever, like by turning on like the gas stove or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what this seems like to me. Like someone just like, you know, did the cool guy, like let's throw in a match, and then like the whole thing explodes.
You're not wrong. It definitely looks like something from a movie. Like it doesn't look like this should be a real thing that exists.
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, let's do the last one. And this one is something that is kind of relevant to recent news.
Yes.
The North Sentinel Islands. It is located in the Andaman Islands, which is off the coast of India-ish. Go ahead and describe the photos, Alex.
So on the left side, we have what looks like to be a tropical island beach with what looks kind of like some turbulent waters with some people standing on the beach. You know, not anything necessarily that I'd be super concerned about looking at, but considering that it's on this list, I imagine I am wrong. And then to the right, we have a man in a mint green shirt, who I assuming is like a YouTuber or something, or some kind of influencer, because I never heard of them before, but his name apparently is John Allen Chow.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for that introduction. So, have you by any chance heard of the North Sentinel Islands before?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so let me enlighten you a little bit. So these islands, as I said, are kind of off the coast of India-ish, and it's native to a tribe of people who have only decided to live in their traditional way and have denied all possible contact with the outer world. And so outsiders are seen as a massive threat. And anytime that this tribe sees an outsider, they immediately release like savage attack. And I hate to use the word savage, but like they really like attack the people that like tried to contact them. So outsiders are a huge threat. Another reason that outsiders are a huge threat is because of the safety of this tribal community, because they have declined, you know, new ways of life. They have zero immunity to like anything, to like the common cold. It would wipe them out.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So that's a big issue. In 2006, they attacked and murdered 2 fishermen who washed up on their shore. The Indian Coast Guard has actually tried to drop off a few food parcels before in the past, but they were always greeted by stones and arrows. And so who is John Allen Chau, do you ask? Well, let me tell you, he's an American missionary who, he was just like, I gotta serve the Lord and spread Christianity. And so he decided it's a good idea to go to this island and convert this traditional tribe of people to Christianity, so even though he was forbidden by multiple governments. Hold your comments. Hold on. Okay, so he tried to visit this island.
Okay.
They throw spears, they're shooting arrows, they're throwing stones. He leaves. He tries a second time. Spears, arrows, get the hell out of here. He leaves. He tries a third time and they kill him.
Yeah.
And this happened last November.
All right, so I have multiple questions here.
Go ahead.
Did he just go by himself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd assume so, because I don't imagine this would be like an organized thing, because anyone who's doing an organized mission trip would know better.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
No, like I'm just like blown away by that whole thing. And I'm just like, I'm trying to gather my thoughts now. Like that is so dumb that he would do that.
It is so dumb for so many reasons. Like,
anyway, well, I forgot that point, but actually I have a different point now. So I kind of wonder here, and I don't expect you to know this at all, because obviously there probably isn't a ton to know about this tribe as far as like, what's known to the public at least. Because it seems to be kind of anti what they're going for here. But like, I kind of wonder, because and I don't mean to be insensitive when I make this comparison at all. Like, I'm not trying to be that way, but like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like, the Amish here in the States.
Okay.
Because, obviously they've chosen to live in a particular kind of way, although they're not as resistant to, letting people from the outside, like, at least see them. And like, there's also like in like Idaho and stuff, there's like a similar group of people called the Mennonites, who are a little bit like the Amish, but it kind of like on the spectrum of like Amish to like you and I, they're in the middle. But anyway, so like the Amish community, I don't know if you know too much about them, but
the only thing I know about the Amish community is what I've seen in Schitt's Creek, so not a lot.
Okay, well this might have come up in Schitt's Creek, I don't know, but there's a period of time in an Amish child's life where they're like kind of teenage years and they're allowed what is called Roomspringa.
Okay.
And that basically is to mean like you are able to take this certain amount of time and leave the Amish community and live amongst, the other population, like, the developed population.
Yeah.
And you're all allowed to live that life.
Okay.
And you can come back and you won't be penalized for it. So they get to basically make the decision on whether or not they want to continue being Amish.
Interesting.
I don't know what percentage go back to the community or just stay out in the world. I don't really know that, but that's like something that they're allowed. So I'm just like, I kind of wonder what if they have like kind of an equivalent here, like how much like their people know about like, the world that's outside.
They don't
like
have
the developed world.
They don't have equivalent.
Well, I know that they probably wouldn't have a voluntary like equivalent.
I don't think
wonder if like any of the people who grow up there are just kind of like, I want to leave this, like I've heard about the outside world and I want to go there.
But there is no way for them to hear about the outside world. Like this isn't like a civilized tribe. Like this is a hunter-gatherer type situation.
Right.
So, and I was trying to look up information on this tribe to like, what is known about them. And there really isn't like any knowledge. Like, I don't even think that I don't know. Like, I don't think they have a means to leave the island. I don't know. Like, it's so bizarre. And like I said, anytime anyone tries to contact them, it's like brutal attack. So I don't even think that a person on this island would have the idea, like the realization that there is an outside world to go to.
I don't know.
And I mean, like I said, I don't know, but yeah.
I think that in any like group or whatever, like, you know, even if you do something like super far removed from this, like you imagine like a family unit, right?
Yeah.
Where like there's these people raised in a similar tradition. There's probably going to be someone in there, whether it be like a few generations like expanded out or you know what, who's going to want to leave that tradition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that just happens, I think, in all walks of life. So I kind of wonder if that would apply here as well. But obviously we don't know.
Yeah, it's bizarro. But anyway, that was my little presentation on the 8 most dangerous places, or some of the 8 most dangerous places on Earth. What did you think, Alex? Was it fun?
Well, you're right. I did appreciate it. I did think it was really interesting.
Yay.
I mean, snakes is my nightmare. Silent snakes. I'm just like, nope. I would swim out into the ocean and just drown.
Literally, the snake one is my favorite because I think it is the most creepy, crawliest one of them all. That is the one that, like, I personally am like, I'll probably go to the Sentinel Island before I go to Snake Island. Like, I'm like, screw that.
Because you could probably flee the natives at the Sentinel Island, whereas every step you take there being a snake is something different.
It's all bad. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Next week it will be Alex's turn to choose another topic to talk about. But stay tuned. Talk to us on Instagram. Make your suggestions. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.